SimWorld presents Around the Table with E and the Fat Man.
What's up, everybody? It's me, it's the B.O.B., and I'm here with my man, E. How are you doing today?
Oh, I am tired, but I'm hanging in there, Bob.
You were traveling a lot. Are you still in California now?
Yeah. Yes, I am. I will be here for a little bit of time, couple months. Got that little reward going for me. At least I'm out of the cold.
I guess. I mean, I do not envy you. I prefer where I'm
know,
at.
it's your thing. I know. It's your thing.
Yeah. I just went outside with no shoes on, and it's 15 degrees outside. But anyways, this is Around the Table with E and the Fat Man. That is E. I'm the Fat Man. This is the podcast we talk about whatever we want. And today, figure we could dive a little bit into the SimWorld Basketball Association MVP. Man, that is a SimWorld Basketball Association. I can't say association, apparently, when I put all them together. The SWBA MVP Race. There we go.
There you go.
Dive a little bit into that. I mean, it seems, I feel like every year it seems pretty cut and dry that there's two names that are going to probably end up at the very top of that list. But E, give me your favorite for this season for the SWBA MVP Race.
For MVP, I'm going to have to be a little bit boring and go with the same person who won it last year and give a third MVP to Nikola Jokic. It's interesting. Like, I think I can find people out there who actually sort of have more overall statistical kind of impressive dominance. I mean, he's not close to, leading scorer or anything like that, but averaging almost a triple-double a game, more than 25 points, almost 12 rebounds, and more than 9 assists. I just think that the big man, who, by the way, there's something about Big Nikola that just, I just kind of love it in a certain way. And it's that he doesn't live for this game. He doesn't love this game in a certain way. Famously at the end of the NBA Finals last year, he told people he couldn't wait to go back home to Serbia and be with his horses, which is his true love. And I don't think he picked up a basketball after they won the NBA championship until maybe first practice or first preseason game or something. But that's okay. Sometimes being great at something isn't about being obsessed with it. And you don't have that sort of Jordan level commitment to it, which gets celebrated. And I understand why it should be celebrated, but just sort of the extreme emotionless competency, let's call it that, of the Nuggets big man is something that I'm impressed with. I also do love the fact that he's kind of SWBA's Josiah Cook. Does some surprising things for a man his size, his build too. I don't think anybody would call him a pure athlete necessarily.
Oh, he looks like he looks like a normal. He just looks like a normal guy, except he's tall.
Yeah, except for the fact he does unbelievable things out there. Except for the fact that he just really does know this game. For me, and had a nice big night last night, knocking off the Celtics. I'm sorry, not last night, on Friday, coming into this weekend. But anyway, I expect the Nuggets to make another deep playoff push at the least. And personally, if it was voting on my card today, I'd have to cast my ballot for Nikola. How about you? You going the same way?
Well, first off, I'll correct you with one thing. Joel Embiid did win the MVP last season. So
I'm sorry. Yes,
that's okay.
I know. Speaking of the NBA Finals MVP, yes.
Well, there you go. I mean, I'm not going to go the same way. I don't
remember. How did Joel end his season last year? Oh, he wasn't playing basketball when other teams were? Maybe that's why I forgot about him.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, it's every year. Every year, same thing, probably going to be this year. It's always the same thing. However, I still think Embiid is going to win the MVP again this season if he can stay healthy enough to surpass that new rule that the NBA has that you have to play X amount of games or else you can't be I don't know if it's necessarily you can't be considered, but it's a possibility that they will not consider you for the award. I do think that I think people got tired of Nikola winning them. They didn't want to see somebody win 3 in a row. But I think I think Embiid's going to win 2 in a row, and then I think it's going to be somebody else other than them. Maybe they'll keep going back and forth for the rest of their careers. I mean, they're both obviously they're the clear-cut top 2 bigs in the SWBA. I don't think there's really anybody else that comes close to them right now whenever they're healthy. I mean, they're triple-double machines on any given night. Obviously, Embiid doesn't get as many triple-doubles as Jokic does, but they have the talent. Both of them have the talent to be able to do that. I think Embiid's really working on his passing game as he gets older or more wise, I guess. His basketball IQ is definitely getting better. And I mean, obviously he's a vet. He's won an MVP. But he started playing basketball so late in life that, I mean, he just did what he had to do to get to the NBA. And I mean, as a Sixers fan myself, I didn't think he was going to work out necessarily. I hoped that he did, but we went on a nice little string there, three centers in a row. We got them. They were injured. We're like, we'll see how it works out. And I mean, it was Okafor, Nerlens, and him. And we had all three of them, I believe, on the roster at one time. And it was just like, is he going to work out? And the fact that he was finally able to pull home last year's MVP was great. But I am going to go with him this season. If he can stay healthy enough to break that barrier, I think that he is going to win the MVP again. He's ungodly. And again, but I'm not going to.
He's great.
If Joker wins MVP, I'm not going to complain. I mean, I feel like it's clearly those two. They're the two best players at their position, potentially in the NBA. Obviously, there's always arguments for who is really in the top five, and you can shuffle a bunch of people around. But yeah, I got to go with Embiid this year. Maybe a little homerish on my part, but whenever he's averaging 35.1 points a game, 11 rebounds a game, almost 6 assists a game. Again, you line those numbers up with Joker. Obviously, Joker's averaging more assists, and Embiid's averaging 10 more points. So it's like they're kind of, for me, they're really balancing each other out, and that's why I think they're the clear-cut top two, and I'm not going to be upset if either one of them win the SWBA MVP race.
No. They're definitely the top two. It is funny how there's the unwritten rules of like, you know, oh, somebody's already won it, shouldn't give it to him again, or whatever to go with that. You know, it is also funny too. Like, I do think that those two guys that we've called out here are the top two in the race. You know, and it's funny if at the same time, like, you know, there was a player dispersal draft and I was drafting for my new franchise and I had the number 1 overall pick, I'm not sure I wouldn't take Luka or Giannis over top of them, even though I agree they are your top 2 MVP picks. It's just kind of funny how that works. But, you know, I really like both of those players, actually, particularly Luka Doncic, who, you know, if it wasn't for those two big men, would probably be running away with MVPs every year. That said, I'll throw out one sort of dark horse candidate, just a player I really love, who I don't actually think has much of a shot, if any shot, of winning MVP this year, but who I am just a huge fan of, and that's Tyrese Halliburton with the Pacers. You know, actually, I think the Pacers are really a team on the rise, and I did love the Siakam trade they just pulled off this past week. But the engine that entirely makes them go is Tyrese Halliburton. Had that injury scare, of course, which I have to factor into. Just an exciting young player, great young guard. Huge fan of. Should get some votes. Can't see him winning, but should get some votes this year. Is there anybody who's kind of a, you know, maybe slightly off the radar MVP candidate that you're high on too, Bob?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Philly on this one, and I'm going to go with Tyrese Maxey. He's not going to. We're just going to be honest. He's not going to, as long as Embiid's there, Maxey will never win an MVP. One thing that's going to hurt him is when Embiid has been out, Maxey has played well, but the team isn't winning. And that's not necessarily just because of him. Like, he is doing his part, but that's what I think is going to really hold him up. If he was able to pull off some wins, I think he'd be a little bit higher and not as much of a dark horse. But I mean, if you took the top 10 MVP candidates right now, he would be at the bottom, and I don't think he'd be jumping out of the top 2 or 3. Jumping out of the bottom 2 or 3, just based off of Embiid being on the same team. I mean, that's like we can go back in the day. Let's say Scottie Pippen was playing out of this world. As long as he was on a team with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen was never winning an MVP. And again, I'm not comparing Embiid and Maxey to MJ and Pippen, but he doesn't have other people in the SWBA to worry about. He has his own teammate to worry about. And as long as Embiid is in the SWBA, as long as Joker's in the SWBA, I don't see anybody else really coming close to them year in and year out. I mean, maybe Wemby, if he is able to figure out his body and get, he needs to get a little bit big. He's a little too skinny for me right now. But I mean, there's just so much talent here. But if we're going dark horse, I'm going to go the darkest horse that I can think of, and that's Maxey. You got Shai out at OKC, Giannis, Luka, Tyrese.
Big SGA fan.
Yeah, I mean, even Jason Tatum's name is always going to be there, but I feel like there's always going to be that stigma that there's just that stigma that regardless of what he does, he's just not good enough. And I don't know where that stigma or how to get that stigma away from him. But anytime people talk about the Celtics, I mean, obviously, and every year we always talk about, oh, Tatum's going to get traded or whatever. He's going to get said, hey, something's going to happen where Tatum's not a part of the Celtics because they don't believe in him. And obviously, those are just rumors that float around and stuff like that. But I mean, clearly a two-man race. And every year there's probably only probably 4 names that are really in consideration, regardless of how many people we want to say are in it. But Joel and Joker, obviously up there. Giannis and Luka, obviously 2 of the top also, but just not quite, I guess, not quite in the recognition phase of their careers. I mean, Giannis, obviously, he won it, back-to-back 18, 19. But again, is that another MVP or is that another voter burnout? I mean, obviously he's not having the type of season that
no,
the other 2 are. I mean,
let's put it that way.
No, I mean that's the thing. Like, what's going to hurt him is, yes, he's on par with Embiid and Jokic, with statistically speaking. 28 and 13 is nothing to sneeze at, but whenever you add Dame, the expectation was that they were going to absolutely destroy everybody. And the fact that they are sitting at 28 and 13 and that's not considered good, I mean, that's going to hold him back tremendously when it comes to the MVP voting. Because, I mean, if you would have told me they were, I don't know, I'm not great with math off the top of my head. If you told me they only had 5 losses right now, I wouldn't be shocked. But the fact that they have 13 losses right now is shocking. And again, they got to learn each other, but they are just 2 of the top players in all of SWBA, and the 13 losses that's a little bit of a red flag right now. So another one of those unwritten MVP rules. That's right. So I went with Embiid, my dark horse Maxey. You went with Joker with your dark horse of Halliburton. I mean, that's a good.
Be a good 2-on-2 actually. Put our guys together.
Yeah, that would be. That would be an interesting game to see. Well, since I mean, I don't think we really said anything mind-blowing today other than our dark horses, but that's why they're dark horses. I mean, if a dark horse is probably never going to really be in the conversation, but you can't just talk about the top 2 all the time. I mean, do you have a really, 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 really dark horse? Let's say, I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh boy!
You go with back in the day when Haslam was still playing before they retired his jersey.
You know what? Because you threw me on the spot. I don't think Devin Booker has any chance. But he had another one of those explosive 50-point games the other day. I love his game. I'm a big fan of Booker. Let's see if he doesn't make some noise at least in the playoffs before this is over. How about that?
How disappointing! And I'm not going to get into that, but how disappointing of a team. With the talent that they have around out there, just how disappointing have they been since they brought in Kevin Durant? Like, that was another one of those like team changing, like you're going to win the SWBA championship every single year because you have Devin Booker, you have Kevin Durant. All the talent that they have out, like it just goes to show that just because you can bring all of the best players together doesn't mean they're going to be able to work well together. But I guess
maybe you shouldn't have moved DeAndre on too. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that was Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother episode.
That's
E,
true. Hey, that'll be next weekend.
there you go. E, do you have any final words for the people?
Stay warm out there. I know everywhere, but where I am in California is cold. Big Bob doesn't mind it, but maybe you do. And looking forward to all the games coming up this week.
I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend.
Bye, folks.